So, continue off my discussion here. Yeah, so, and I saw the side by side comparison between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders, and it couldn't have been a bigger contrast. And like I said, I was telling people I used to be a traditional Democrat. So, like back in 2008, I was going to originally support Hillary Clinton. I was a diehard Hillary Clinton fan back then. And again, though, I didn't pay attention to politics that deeply back then. All I heard was the good things. I ignored the bad. And I thought the country could only be its potential that it was at. It couldn't get any better. And I believe the traditional two party system. Um, I was just always a solid Democrat, too. So we have a habit of idealizing our party's leadership. Okay. So, and believe everything the media tells us. But here's the thing: in 2008, it was Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama running. And then for a splash of a minute, it was John Edwards, who at the time I kind of liked him too, until I found out the kind of stuff he did, especially in his personal life, and I thought, oh, that's awful. But you know, he didn't get as much coverage, so it was more Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. It became the center stage for everything. And there were family members, to be fair, that probably had a better judge of character than I did, because they were coming to me telling me, hey, family members older than me. Okay, I was the young one, in fact, here. I was in my early 20s at the time. And so don't assume younger generations are more liberal than the older generations. That's not always true. Okay. Maybe ideologically they say they are, but how they vote are two different things. You know, because it was my aunt who was about a generation older than me. She's 25 years older than me, older than me. So she was the one telling me about Barack Obama. She says, you got to hear this guy. You got to hear his speech. He's inspiring. This is the guy. This is the guy we want to vote for. You don't want to vote for Hillary Clinton. You want to vote for Barack Obama. And I'm thinking, why? Why are we going to vote? Why not? Why not Hillary Clinton? She's the presumptive front runner, and she's the next in line, and we need a woman in the White House. And this is the mindset I was thinking back then, in 2008. Because newsflash, I'm not a typical um, typical white man who's conservative. Okay, I was very progressive back then too, but in a different sense. So so back then it was, so she was telling me about Obama. I seen his speeches, I seen the stuff he talked about, and I went, yeah, I guess you're right. I was still conflicted at the time. I was going to support Clinton. But then I saw the negative character attacks and her race baiting Obama and all that ugly crap. And I was wholeheartedly convinced I was going to support Obama. Then I saw the ugly tactics they pulled in the primary, you know, where you couldn't put up Obama signs, you could only put up Hillary signs. They had all these rules because the Clinton people were just ruthless. Okay, they were ruthless. The Clintons did dirty, ugly, shady things. Whenever I had a run-in with a Clinton Democrat or a moderate Democrat, they pull some ugly tactics. I can tell you by experience, um, and it turned me off. So I was wholeheartedly dead set on supporting Obama. So I did, proudly. And actually, that year was the first time I predicted an election right in my lifetime. I predicted Obama was going to resoundingly get elected president, and everybody thought I was crazy. Turns out I was correct. He won easily because people were looking for change at the time. He was the right person at the time. Um, well, I also predicted he was going to get reelected in 2012, and he did. Um, it was probably the only elections I got right in my lifetime, God willing. But anyways, that being said, that's when I was a traditional Democrat. I thought Obama was progressive because we didn't know. We listened to mainstream media, so we didn't know anything outside of that. And then we had Obama for 8 years. We saw him constantly capitulate. We saw the Republicans railroad him on everything. We saw the Democrats break from him on a lot of issues. We saw everything we thought was going to be hope and change turn out to be left at the dustbin. So we got the status quo. Now, to be fair, he still was the best president of my generation, and I still hold strong to that. And that may make a lot of people mad, but he did the Iran deal. He did treaties around the world. He did the Paris Climate Accord. He passed healthcare reform. This guy actually did a lot. Now, it wasn't always to our liking, but he was a pretty decent president. And I know people are going to disagree with me on this platform. Even people on the left are going to disagree with me, and that's okay. It's okay to disagree with me. I'm not saying that he was the perfect progressive champion we wanted. He wasn't. You know, there were things he did I strongly disagreed with, especially when it came to NSA spying and civil liberties. He was not good on those issues, okay? And the whole thing with the drones. You know, so there were issues I did not necessarily agree with. But on landmark stuff, he did accomplish a lot. But I also learned we were being denied, and I learned what could be possible. So when 2016 came around, again, I was thinking, okay, I guess I'm going to vote for Hillary Clinton, because what's going to be the alternative in 2016? No other up-and-coming Democrat was going to run. I was kind of holding out hope somebody better would run. Of course, most of the Democratic Party is cowards. They don't want to ever challenge their presumptive nominee because they don't think that's a thing to do, I guess. I don't know. They fear power itself, I guess. They have this monarchy worshipping mindset. So, which is BS. And I'm finally glad it's starting to almost come to an end at this point. But nobody's owed an election or the nomination. So she ran in 2016 with all this baggage hindering her with the emails and all the other crap going on. Turns out she was not the candidate meeting the moment of what people wanted, but the party establishment pushed her down our throats and pushed her. Then we had the shenanigans of Donald Trump. Then Bernie Sanders ran against her in the primaries, and he was the equivalent energy against her for something different. So I voted for him on principle that year, just as a pledge, just as a statement, even if it was just symbolic. Like, I knew he was not going to win the nomination. I knew it was going to be Hillary Clinton. But I held strong. My principal said, no, I'm voting for Bernie Sanders, damn it. You know, because I saw the contrast, and Bernie's platform was way more defined, extensive than Hillary Clinton's ever would have been. Hillary Clinton was very much a traditional corporate Democrat and who liked to do cookie cutter checklist of policies, I guess, where Bernie come up with inspirations and, you know, push bold ideas. And the idea is to push for bold ideas. Not to say you can get them all done in one sitting, okay? But you got to push the Overton window, all right? You gotta fight with a bolder fist. You can't just go in there compromised. She was already promising to be compromised, which is not an inspiring message to anyone, especially in a primary, yet alone a general election. Okay, so, you know, to say will never happen, this will never happen, like to say it will never happen. Now, you may not be able to personally yourself get it done based on what power dynamics you're dealing with. But you can be honest with the people on that. But to say you would never do it or you have no desire to change anything, that's already shutting people's minds off. You know. Anyways, I'm going to do another video talking about this subject relating. I'll see y'all later. Goodbye. Love you.